Hello viewers, in today's class we are going to discuss an important and conceptual problem from integrals, right? And here we have a simple problem and we have to calculate the integral of x square, and here we have the signum function of x and the limits are from -1 to 1, right? So let us solve this integral, and let us first call this integral as I. Right now here we see that our integrand is the function f of x is equal to x square times signum of x, right? So this is the product of two functions. This is a quadratic function, that is x square, and this is the signum function, right? So before calculating this integral, what we will do, we'll first see the definition of signum function, right? So the signum function of x is defined like this, that is signum of x takes the value +1 whenever this x is greater than 0, right? And signum of x is equal to 0 whenever x is equal to 0, and signum of x will take the value -1 for all x which are less than 0, right? So here we are going to apply this definition in order to simplify this integrand, right? Okay, so now see here the limits of integration are from -1 to 1, right? So we know that 0 lies between -1 and 1, and now we can divide this interval, that is -1 to 1, into two intervals, right? So the first one is from -1 to 0, and the second one is from 0 to 1, right? So now we see that whenever x belongs to this interval, that is from -1 to 0, then all the values of x are less than 0, right? And when we take this interval, that is from 0 to 1, then all the values of x are greater than 0, right? So here if we see, signum of x is equal to -1, right? So signum of x will take the value -1 for all x which are less than 0. So in this interval, that is from -1 to 0, signum of x is equal to -1, right? And in this interval, that is from 0 to 1, x is greater than 0, and signum of x takes the value +1 for all x which are greater than 0, right? So here when x belongs to this interval, that is 0 to 1, all values of x are greater than 0. So signum of x will take the positive value, right? Okay, so +1 is the value for signum of x when x belongs to 0 to 1, and see here we have the point x is equal to 0, right? So here at x is equal to 0, the signum of x is equal to 0 as per our definition, right? So signum of 0 is equal to 0. So now what we will do, we'll break this integral as a sum of two integrals, right? So the first one is from -1 to 0, in which all the values of x are less than 0, and the second one is from 0 to 1, in which all the values of x are greater than 0, right? So now we can write our integral I as I1 plus I2, right? So now I1 can be written as integral from -1 to 0, right? From -1 to 0, and we have x square, this is x square, and see here we have signum of x. So when x goes from -1 to 0, then signum of x takes the value -1. So here we have -1, right? And here we have dx, and then I2 is from 0 to 1, right? From 0 to 1, and we have x square, and for signum of x we can take this value, that is plus 1, right? So this is how we can break this integral I as a sum of two integrals, right? Okay, so now we have minus, we can take this negative sign outside the integral, so we have minus 1 to 0, and we have x square dx, and here we have simply 0 to 1 and x square dx, right? So here x is equal to 0 is the breaking point where we can split our integral as a sum of two integrals. So now in order to evaluate these two integrals, we'll make use of this important result from indefinite integrals. So the integral of x raised to n is x raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1 for all values of n except minus 1, right? So here we can now write this integral as x cube over 3, and limits are from minus 1 to 0, and here we have the negative sign, and here we have x cube over 3, and the limits are from 0 to 1. So now we can simply substitute the limits and we'll take the difference. So here we have minus, and when we take 0, x is equal to 0, so this term becomes 0, and then we have minus 1 cube over 3, right? And here we have 1 cube over 3, and when we take x is equal to 0, so this term reduces to 0, right? Okay, so now if we simplify it, then see what we will get. Here we have minus 1 cube is minus 1, so this minus and this minus get when multiplied together it will become plus, so we have here 1 over 3, right? And see here we have 1 over 3, right? So now we have minus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3, and minus 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3 is equal to 0, right? So we conclude that the value of this integral is equal to 0, right? So viewers, this is how we can solve these type of problems.